If you find that you're smart, you did well in uni, you did well in school, but you're just not able to get ahead in your business goals, maybe your deen goals, your fitness goals, something keeps you stuck. Well, I've coached hundreds of brothers on their business and life goals, and I wrote the book over there on how to be a top Muslim man. So in this video, you're going to learn how your intelligence can become a disadvantage in life and why that's happening, as well as how you can use the same intelligence to get ahead, start taking action, get unstuck, and achieve your biggest life goals. And all you need to understand for this is how an octopus moves, but we'll get into that. The way to understand this is, imagine you're in a car and you've got the accelerator and the brake. Now, because you're smart, you're very able to perceive potential risks, the worst case scenarios, what could go wrong. You also know what smart people think like, so you know what risks could be out there. And that's represented by you slamming on the brake, right? So imagine your left foot, it's really pressing hard on the brake. Likewise though, because you're smart as well, you are pressing on the accelerator because you do see opportunities, you are smart, so you're able to do a lot of things. But the way that you're slamming on that brake is way, way harder than how you're pressing on the accelerator. And therefore what happens? You don't move forward 1 inch. But the opportunity here is that if you're just able to let go a bit of the brake and slowly but steadily remove your foot from it, you can start to move forward. And when you do move forward, because you're smart, you'll be able to go very far, inshallah. Now, why this is so sad for me and why I really need to make a video about this is because I'm so passionate about the smartest brothers in the ummah actually making a change to their lives, to their families' lives, and to the ummah. They're not making that change because they got their foot slammed on the brake. You see, they thrive in the environments where there's a clear path, like in school or university. They might have even done master's degrees and PhDs, or they do really well in their career because there is a set structure and format and the risks seem lower. But when it comes to taking their own initiative and starting something new like a business, they really struggle to get going. And the big problem here and the big loss for the whole ummah is that these are the smartest guys. You are the smartest guys out there. So you need to be enabled to take action, and then you'll be able to solve so many problems in the world. And the worst thing here is if you don't take any action, it means you get no growth. You get no learnings. You really just get nothing. All you get is overthinking and fear. And I call this getting stuck in the comfort trap. Because although you might have achieved great things in your academic life or in your career where there's a clear structure in place, for you, that is your comfort zone. You're stuck in that comfort trap. And we need to get you out so you can achieve those big things that you want in life. Starting a business, getting ripped, memorizing Quran, learning Arabic, traveling, whatever it is. And I know this myself because I was in that very cage, the comfort trap cage. You see, I was pretty good at school. I studied some of the harder subjects. I studied French and I became fluent in it just from school, not from any external help. I then went on to go to some of the best universities in the world, alhamdulillah, University College London. And then I went to do a teacher training course in the best place in the UK to do it. So I was very comfortable going down that trap. And I noticed in myself that I always feared getting into this 9-to-5 lifestyle, stuck in an office, ideally not in the UK, but could be in the UK. This really scared me, as well as my low confidence. That was the reason why I was 25 years old and I'd never had like a proper professional job. I only had low-level jobs. And if I think deeply about it, I was stuck in the comfort trap. I was doing what I was comfortable with. But as we know, a ship, a big military battleship, it's not made to be in the port, even though the port is safe. It's made to go out and do missions in the deep oceans. So I got a wake-up call when one day I was talking to my neighbor, who is one of my best friends as well, about a certain da'i, and we were criticizing some of the things he was doing. He was a bit young, a bit lacking wisdom, and we were criticizing what he could have done or should have done instead of what he did in one certain event. But as I walked from that conversation, I couldn't shake it off, this idea that I was criticizing as a spectator and he was in the stadium fighting the lions and wolves and tigers. And it dawned on me that if I wanted to do great things in life, I'm going to need to become more of a doer and stop being a thinker, a planner. I don't care about that. What I care about is doing. Ultimately, what Allah wants from us is doing. What's the requirements of a good deed? It has to have a good intention and has to be done according to the sunnah. So that moment, I vowed that I would become a doer. I would get rid of the negative self-talk. I would develop a bias for action and I would move forward. And alhamdulillah, I made a lot of progress since then. So the question is, how do you become more of a doer? Even if you're a deep thinker, you're an overthinker, you're a smart guy, but that's holding you back. How do you get that foot off the brake so you can start to inch forward? Well, it all starts with how an octopus moves. You see, an octopus has 8 legs, of course, and it doesn't throw all those legs forward at the same time when it wants to move. It doesn't throw its head forward first either. It has 8 legs, so it will always stretch one leg out first. And when the coast is clear, it will stretch another, and then it will stretch another, and it's only ever risking 1 leg, 2 legs, because remember, it could be wanting to go into a certain cave, and when it puts one in, it gets bitten. In that case, it's only injured one of its tentacles. It's never risking all of its tentacles or its core organs in its head, like its heart or its brain, etc. So what an octopus is doing, if you think about it, is it's taking small, low-risk actions, and only when the coast is clear does it take bigger and bigger actions until all 8 of its legs and its head is moved over into that cave. So the first thing you can do is shrink the change. Make the thing that you're planning on doing or the thing that you want to do, make the task small as possible. Instead of thinking, I've got to build this business empire, think about, okay, let me decide on a business model. I don't have to do that in business model, but if I was going to do a business model, I had to pick one, what would it be? Which one would suit me best? And just keep it as a research step in your mind. But you're still moving forward, aren't you? That's still progress towards your goal of starting a business. If you're being held back on asking people to buy from you, right, making the sale, then maybe you could just send them surveys at the beginning and see what they say. And when you get that positive feedback that they are interested, that will give you the courage and the momentum to then get on a call with them or whatever and actually pitch them your product. And whenever you're feeling resistance to doing those little steps, ask yourself, what is the actual risk here? What's the worst case scenario? And when you find what that worst case scenario is, write it down and you might find it's not as bad as you thought. But on top of that, you can list out the things you can do to lower the risk even further. So this is the risk. It's not a big risk, but in order for me to easily do it, let me lower that risk. What could I do to lower the likelihood of that negative thing happening? So for example, you're trying to start a consulting business and you're worried that you're not good enough to actually help the businesses. You're worried that the worst case scenario, for example, is that you go and you charge them thousands of dollars and then they don't like it and they leave you a bad review and they get angry at you and they want their money back. Okay, what could you do to mitigate that? Well, your first client, just don't charge them money. That would lower the risk of all that happening. They won't be too mad because you didn't charge them, and you will remove all the resistance because you can't tell yourself, oh, should you be charging? Are you good enough to charge? Because you're not charging. And how many times would you do that before you do feel confident enough to charge? And the whole time there's been no resistance. So tell them, I'll work for free in exchange for an honest review. And once you've done that once, twice, the third time you'll probably be able to charge. You'll feel okay at charging. What these two things do, lowering the actual size of the action that you're going to take, and also lowering the risk and the size of the risk for you and how risky it feels to you, what this does is it slowly expands your comfort zone. Right now, you're stuck in the comfort zone, and that's why you have this resistance and you feel paralyzed when it comes to taking action on your big goals. But as you stick a tentacle out and you feel around and you get a bit of feedback, a bit of progress, a bit of growth, your comfort zone actually expands to fill that area. And then put another tentacle out and another tentacle out. Before you know it, your comfort zone has grown. But it all requires doing it bit by bit, step by step, and low risk. When it's low risk and it's small, your resistance to it will lower and you'll be able to actually move forward. And this is an example of going slow to go fast. So when somebody is going to fire a bow and arrow, they have to pull the arrow back first in order to then fire it. And the more they pull it back, the faster and the further that arrow will go. You need to do this the same way. You need to apply this to yourself. So you are in the stage of not growing a massive business, for example. You're in the stage of just expanding your comfort zone. That is what you're doing in order to pull the arrow back. But eventually, you're going to be able to expand your comfort zone so far that now you can let go and fire and go much, much further. Whereas if you kept trying and thinking of doing that business without expanding your comfort zone, you'd probably just take no action. You wouldn't have the big goal and you wouldn't have expanded your comfort zone where you will reliably move forward with that goal either. So if you're smart but you feel like that's actually holding you back, then it's probably because of the mindset element of procrastination. We've discussed some of the reasons and some of the voices that hold you back, but there are plenty more. I deal with all of them in this video on screen right now. So you need to watch that now to overcome all of the voices in your head. Go watch it now. Check it out.